Hello and welcome to Action Pop Dad. In today's video we're going to be taking a look at videos sent in by several YouTubers and members of the toy community showcasing a toy they've had since childhood or they've had to get back in their collection now they're an adult. Alternatively, they could send in a video of a toy which they've now got in their collection as an adult, which is equally as special. I've been blown away by how many people actually wanted to take part in this, so this has now become a two-part special. So if you don't see a video this week, don't worry, you will be in part 2. With that said, shall we get right on and have a look at the submissions? Let's do that.
Hi, this is Ed's Retro Geek Out and you're watching Action Pop Dad. So my toys I could probably never get rid of are the first couple TMNT figures I got. In particular, probably Donnie. Because as you can see, he's encountered a flesh wound. He's missing an arm and his head is really loose. These were the turtles I grew up playing with, probably the first two I ever owned. And, you know, I already replaced them. I got a couple of Donnies that are in way better condition with all their limbs, and I always seem to put the wacky action belts on my original turtles. I don't know why I do that. So here's with the one with the original belt. Even from when I could start remembering stuff, I always remembered having this toy. So yeah, Turtles is something that has been with me through life, growing up, going to college, starting a family. They've always been with me, and even though they're broken toys, they have a lot of memories, and that's why I just needed to keep this one. I'll probably pop him in a shelf between like all the freaking expensive ones and be like, what's that one? That's my first toy. So that's my contribution to the video.
Hey there, this is Adam from GoFigure. When it comes to my collection of vintage toys that really capture the nostalgia I have from my childhood, much like many other collectors, there's lots of Motu and G.I. Joe and Superpowers, lots of the big lines from the 80s. But some of my favorites were the lines that had one wave and were gone. And two of my all-time favorite action figures that I had to get back as soon as I started collecting again were Dick Tracy and Marshall Bravestar. I don't know what it was. There wasn't a whole lot of other gangster or cowboy toys around at the time, but both of these toys were highlights of my childhood, and I could not be happier to have them back in my collection.
Hi Action Pop Dad. So as requested, I am doing this small and very disorganized video of one of my most cherished toys, if you want to call it that I simply will never part with even when it dies, and I can't even believe that it actually still works. But this is actually my most cherished item, which is my original Nintendo. It still works. It is absolutely my favorite thing that I own. And it's just something that I could just never see myself parting with. I didn't take everything out because I moved not too long ago and everything's kind of packed up and wrapped away. But yes, I still have the games, and I still have the orange duck hunt gun. And of course, as with every Nintendo owner, I still blow the hell out of this thing. Yeah, so when it's not working, you give it a good blow and stick that game cartridge right in and have at it. And if it's a TV that's actually calibrated, I 100% totally walk up to it with my duck hunt gun and cheat. This is absolutely my favorite item in the whole world, and I joke all the time that even once I die, I want this sucker cremated with me. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for asking me to do this, Action Pop Dad. Bye.
There are some toys you know you've got to get back in your collection as soon as you start a modern day toy collection, and there are others that just sort of pop into your mind as you're sort of learning all about toys. And for me, the Fisher-Price Frogman was one of those. I'd had this as a child and completely forgotten about it, and as soon as I saw one again when I'd started collecting, I knew I had to have one because I had so many strong memories of playing with this toy in the bath, down at the beach. This toy had been a favourite of mine for many years, and it had been sort of in my pocket wherever I'd gone. And so the figure I had no paint left. He'd lost all the paint on his nose, all the little markings on him had gone. But I used to absolutely love it. I remember my nan gave this to me. I don't think I had any other Fisher-Price toys at the time, but I really clearly remember the packaging. The fact you saw the Frogman on it being attacked by a giant octopus. And I just absolutely loved it from the day I got it. So as soon as this had been sort of brought back into my mind, I knew I had to get it. I managed to track down this carded version. It's not in the greatest condition, but it doesn't matter because the artwork is what I wanted to see. That image there of the sort of the Frogman in action was such a vivid memory to me. And then of course I had to get myself a loose figure as well, just so that I could sort of see what he felt like again and enjoy how he felt. These are not particularly hard figures to find. In fact, you can pick them up incredibly easily. I've now got a massive collection of these figures, and it all started because I had to get this one back in my collection. I absolutely love this figure. It doesn't have any backstory, it doesn't have any accessories, which means it's very easy to collect. But the memories that this brings back to me are what are important and why I knew I had to get this back in my collection.
Hey Nick, you asked me what one toy from my collection could I not live without? And that's a really tough question, but I think my answer is quite a large one. It's the Defiant from G.I. Joe. And not just because it's a cool playset. This behemoth is a reminder of when Jeff, Chris, and I started our channel together, and that is just a really cool memory. So this 3-part series that we did was this epic, shooting schedule and filming and lots of meetings. So it's a great reminder of those times. But in another way, it's also populated with Space Force figures, because I have my Space Force and Joint Ops with G.I. Joe, but I have figures from George Aiken, Gary Atkinson, Dragon Reborn. So many people are represented up here in the Defiant mezzanine in figure form. So that's why I can't live without my Defiant.
Hey guys, GQ JedI here. Today we're going to talk about Jabba the Hutt. Jabba is one of my favorite figures. I call him a figure, I don't call him a creature, because to me he's always been a figure. And I remember being a little kid going to Toys R Us and seeing him on the toy shelves and was like, I gotta have him, please mom, let me get him. He is awesome. He looks just like he did in the movies. And the cool thing about Jabba is he kind of he demands an audience. You need to get the rest of the figures in order to flesh out the scene. Whereas in some of the other figures, it kind of doesn't, they can be cool on their own. But Jabba, you need the whole palace vibe. At least for me, I need the whole set. There's another reason why I like him. I also love the fact that he comes with the dais, the bed, the thing that he's laying on. You can put guys inside of it. It's really like a whole playset experience without actually being a full-fledged playset, so I think that's kind of cool. And as an adult collector, I now have 3 of them. I have 3 complete Jabbas. I'm kind of obsessed with Jabba. I had one when I was a kid and kind of lost him, and then a few years later I found one at a flea market, picked him up, and then many years later I really started getting into collecting the whole line of toys. And then I picked up a second one, and like I said, now I've got 3, and I love Jabba. I would never part with him. Be honest, I may even try to get a 4th one. That's how much I love Jabba. Jabba's kind of got a soft spot for Jabba. I mean, look at him. He's an awesome toy. Kenner did a bang-up job on this toy for every kid out there to play with and recreate what we saw in Return of the Jedi. So to me, yeah, he's up there. He's gold. He's Kenner gold to me.
Luke Skywalker was my childhood hero, and I've always had a deep affection for the X-Wing Luke figure even into my adult collecting years. Looking back, I think that affection stems from the fact that Luke wore this style of outfit over 2 movies, both Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back. So at playtime, when I grabbed my X-Wing fighter, I could either recreate a scene from the trench run, or Dagobah, or even a hot scene playing with my toys. It was Christmas 1983 when I received my X-Wing fighter along with my X-Wing Luke figure. You can see my mother stamped the photograph there. And it's only later years I realised the trouble my mother went to get me that figure. She managed to pick up the X-Wing fighter here in Dublin and went on a trip over to Liverpool with her sisters for Christmas shopping and was unsuccessful in sourcing this guy. And it was only later on her cousin down in Cork phoned up to say she'd found it in a shop down there and picked it up and was going to post it up to her. So this figure was the first toy I ever received in the post. Didn't know it at the time, and little did I know, that's probably the way most of us receive our toys nowadays. To me, there's no better toy than the X-Wing Luke.
So that was part 1 of the video. I hope you've enjoyed that. I think there's been some fantastic submissions and I can't wait for part 2. As I said at the beginning, don't worry if you didn't see your submission, because you will be featured in part 2 and I'm really looking forward to getting that out there ASAP. Thanks for watching Action Pop Dad, and I'll see you on the next one.